Hello and good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are all well. A warm welcome to the Diaspora Transition Network, the Diaspora Conversations. Tonight, we will be speaking to First National Bank regarding mortgages, and we'll also be speaking to State Housing Company regarding the process of acquiring affordable housing. And in general, with both audiences, we'll be talking about the Ghana real estate industry, how it's developed over the years, how to become part of it, and how to purchase or accommodation or get a property in Ghana. So tonight we will have lots of information shared with you. We will give you an opportunity to speak to our professionals, and hopefully you guys will take away some golden nuggets, which hopefully you'll be able to use in your preparations and planning of either acquiring property or just engaging a bit more with Ghana. Just so that you know, my name is Jennifer Jankrofa. I am the project lead for the Diaspora Transition Network, and our aim is primarily to support those that wish to connect, to transition, to engage, to invest in Ghana. We all know that Ghana is, a land of opportunities, but how do we connect? How do we fill those gaps? How do we get things done in Ghana? It's all about understanding the systems and working with the resources that we have. So once again, a good evening. Good evening, Francis O. Oh, Francis, excellent. It's been a little while. How are you? Hope you're doing well. And Victor, 85, lovely to have you aboard as well. Okay, and to the motherland, yes, we are also here. Please tell us who you are, motherland. It's great to have you as part of us. Could you also let us know where you are connecting from? It'll be nice to kind of get a gauge, an overview of where people are actually connecting from, and yeah, it'll be good. Okay, excellent. Yes, you are here. You are here. Motherland, it'll be lovely to know who you are as well. Excellent. Okay, so just to give a bit of an overview before we start, and I invite our guest speakers on. The Diaspora Transition Network is there to support you. Okay, we do what you require. So we give what it is that you need. So today's session was basically through interactions with our diasporans. Many spoke about accommodation, many spoke about wanting to acquire properties in Ghana, many spoke about the processes involved. And, as an individual, I don't have all the answers, our team don't have all the answers. And what we needed to do is to go to the professionals. So yes, we've got the professionals online with us today, and they will be telling you exactly the processes or the right processes to follow. Hi, Julian. Evening. Nice to meet you. Okay, West London. Excellent. Okay, and Canada. Okay, hi, Canada. And Switzerland. Felix. Wow, excellent. Ah, Victor. Yes, Vicky. You're in New Jersey. Yes, beautiful. Michael, Kwabena, to you too. Yes, from Africa, from Accra. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, Ken from Ghana. Great to have you on. Excellent. Oh, this is great. Okay, excellent. So, yes, as I mentioned, what we do is feedback based on what it is that you require. So if there are certain topic areas, if there are certain discussions or niggly questions that you have, not just about the property, which we're focusing on today, but in any aspects when it comes to connecting and engaging with Ghana, if there's any questions, do let us know. That is what we're here for. We're here to help you guys along the process of connecting, engaging, transitioning, and investing in Ghana. Okay, what I will do is I will introduce our first guest for tonight. And our first guest is a gentleman. I'll just go over his profile a little bit. So we've got State Housing Company as one of our speakers for today. So just to introduce Mr. Kwabena Ampofo Appiah is the managing director of the State Housing Company Limited and a member of the company's board of directors. So Mr. Appiah joined State Housing Company Limited in June 2017, and he is playing an integral role in the recovery of the company. So Mr. Appiah is focused on sustaining the company's effort to support Ghana's housing market and on driving the company's contributions to creating a better housing industry for the future. So State Housing Company Limited is committed to serving its customers and the market with solutions that promote sustainable home ownership and client development of the country's housing sector. Very important, sustainable home ownership. So this is effectively achieved through the recognized operational structures, which groups the reigns into 5 zones. So they've got a head office, they've got Eastern, Western, Ashanti, and Northern manors that contribute directly to the orderly and efficient development of the country's housing sector. So without much ado, I would like to bring on Mr. Kwabena Appiah. Hi, good
Good
evening.
good evening. How are you doing?
Very, very well. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. I'm doing well, Jennifer.
Okay, excellent. As I was going through your profile, there's something that really jumped up and it hit me. And I thought, yes, that's a really good point to start off with. And it's all about sustainable home ownership. And I think that's quite a key term when we look at home ownership, not just in Ghana, but throughout the world. Because it's all great, having a beautiful home, but being able to sustain it and keep and maintain that home. So just as by way of introduction, this event is primarily to find out a bit more about the Ghana industry, the Ghana real estate industry and your sector, which is looking primarily about affordable housing. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, and for the kind words. My name is Kwabena Ampofo, and I'm the managing director for State Housing Company. So, State Housing Company, our job is to build homes for Ghanaians, Ghanaian citizens, and residents of Ghana who needs homes. Um, so that's the long and short of it. We focus more on affordable to mid income earners, and we build from 1 to 4 bedroom homes, and we are located across the country. So in all the 16 regions of Ghana, state housing has footprints there. So
Okay.
in terms of affordable housing, yes, you can get it
Hmm.
across the country.
Excellent, excellent. I always want to find out a bit more about the term affordable, because when you think of affordable, it depends on individuals and the circumstances and what affordable is classified to them. So in your regards, when it comes to state housing, what is classed as affordable?
So affordable is relative to the individual home purchaser. And we classify if, for example, you are not spending more than 30% of your income on housing, we will classify you as affordable housing. Like that is anything 30% and below, we classify that as affordable. Once you are going into the 40, 50%, then we wouldn't call it affordable per se.
Mm,
Then you are moving into the area of, you actually overextending yourself. In
mhm,
terms of pricing, for affordable housing, we are looking at homes in the region of between $25,000 to $30,000 for a unit of home. We believe that that is within the general salary range of Ghanaians. So in terms of affordability, that is what we look around. But then, Jennifer, you are right. I mean, somebody will call $1 million home affordable if they are making 100 million, and
Yeah.
others will call a $10,000 home very expensive if the income does not match it. But on the average, this is where we looking at when we term affordable.
Affordable. Excellent. Thank you. So you mentioned briefly that in your organization's regards, affordable is, well, prices start between 25 to 30,000 Ghana cedis or dollars.
I'm talking about United States dollars.
Oh, okay. Talking about dollars.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'll be very surprised if you would buy a house for 20,000 cities or 25.
Just to be Thank you. So in regards to that, if I would like to apply for one of your schemes, how do I go about doing it? How can I get a state housing company property?
So first of all, you would have to be a Ghanaian,
Okay.
or you have to live in Ghana. So if you are a Ghanaian or you're a resident of Ghana, it is that simple. You can either walk into our offices, you can give us a call, or you can go online, and that's with COVID and all the social distances, that's actually our preference. If you go to
Mhm.
www.statehousing.gov.gh, that's our website. We have live chats, we have all that forms there that you can fill to be able
Mhm.
to get to get home. You have all our floor plans. You can pick the location and the type of houses that you want through that means. So
Okay.
it is very a pain-free exercise trying to get a home from state housing.
Okay, thank you. Where did sort of what were the fundamentals behind setting up the state housing company? Where was the drive?
So state housing was actually set up by the colonial governments to build for the then colonial establishment. And after independence, our first president, Kwame Nkrumah, made it a corporation under the state to build for Ghanaians. So the primary goal is to do social housing,
Mhm.
and also to serve as a check on the market. And if I say check on the market, I mean, because we are not profit oriented or profit driven, we're able to control the market forces.
Okay.
So let me just to give you an example. I mean, if you have a home that a private developer is building, and they'll be charging maybe $400,000 to $500,000 for that home. State housing
Mhm.
will come and price it in cities and price it sometimes even about 60-70% less than what the
Mhm.
private market is going for. By doing that, what it does is that it controls home prices, it makes home prices come down, and
Mhm.
because you'll agree with me that in Ghana, our prices, our homes are so expensive. It's out
Yeah.
of the reach of almost everybody, and that is because we have a huge housing deficit in Ghana. Every
Mm,
Ghanaian wants to own a home, so you have so many people chasing fewer homes. So
mm, mm,
with the government's involvement in terms of building
mhm,
more homes, that is how come we are able to sort of control the narrative a bit. And we are looking at doing more in terms of going into more of mass affordable housing. That
mm.
way, it will force the market to react that and make people to be able to afford homes.
Four times, yeah, thank you. And sometimes, rightly or wrongly, sometimes there's a particular view on what they term as affordable houses and the look and the feel of the house. Do property owners have a say in the design or the structure or the layout? Is it, is it a situation where they can get involved in a planning stage, or is the property already completed and they go to you and buy? How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, what is interesting you're asking this question because a few minutes ago I was having a similar discussion where somebody wanted affordable housing, but she wanted a six-bedroom
Oh
house,
well.
all en suite in somewhere in Greater Accra region. I mean, I mean, the moment you say that, you are looking at going into a price point way above what probably you can afford. So yes, you can, in most cases, customize the interior of our homes, and in very few instances, the external to your taste. But
Okay.
that can also mean that you'll be paying more or less. I mean, some customization makes the homes cheaper, others
Mhm.
makes it more expensive. So, for
Mm.
example, I mean, there are some homeowners who don't like POP ceilings because they believe it causes cancer, so they would
Okay.
rather want plywood. So, if our
Mhm.
standard home is a POP and you are downgrading it to plywood, obviously you're going to have savings on that.
Okay.
But if
Okay.
you are doing standard louver blades, but you want, 10 mm windows
Mhm.
um, with triacle, trims, obviously
Mhm.
the prices are going to go high. So yes, you can customize it to an extent, but
Mhm.
you would have to be prepared to bear the additional costs.
Very additional cost. Okay, thank you. You touched on one point which I feel many of our viewers might want you to expand a bit more in terms of who can actually apply for the state housing companies scheme. As part of the Diaspora Transition Network, we primarily engage with diasporans wanting to come to Ghana, settle, invest, whatever it may be. And we do have many diasporans that are non-Ghanaian, so not necessarily attached to Ghana, or at the moment they're looking at possibly settling and moving to Ghana. So in that regards, you mentioned that they will need to have a residency permit before they can apply. Is that how it works?
Not entirely. So as I said, they have to be Ghanaians. So
Okay,
anybody who is a Ghanaian or Ghanaian origin qualifies for it, whether you
okay,
live, in Ghana or in China. It does not
okay.
really matter. What matters is if, for example, you are British. I mean, you have no Ghanaian or Ghanaian lineage. If you wanna buy a house from State House and you need a residence permit, you need to have a
Okay.
Ghana residence permit. But if you're a Ghanaian or Ghanaian origin, regardless of where geographically you are located, you can still buy a house from State Housing.
Okay, okay. Thank you for that. Okay, Kwabena, what we will do, um, okay, take a few questions and then we will come back to you. So we've got a question from, I love this name, Wonderful Kwame. It says, how can someone living abroad be able to secure this state mortgage for their senior Ghanaian citizen parents living in Ghana? So in theory, somebody wants to, let's say, for example, I would like to buy a property for my parents living in Ghana. Is that possible, and how does that work?
So it is possible. If I don't know if Wonderful Kwame means getting financing for the mortgage or just buying a house. Yes, buying a house, it doesn't matter where you live as long as you are a Ghanaian, you can buy it. I mean, you can even do start and finish the whole transaction without even coming to Ghana because you can do everything online and not in person. But in terms of if he's talking about securing a state mortgage in terms of getting financing, I believe that our First National Bank will be talking in a few minutes, and they'll be able to answer those questions in terms of how do you um, get
Right.
financing for your home.
Yeah. So just to follow up, I think he was talking about financing primarily. Um, we have another question from Kenny. Kenny, the pop, the POP and cancer. Can POP really cause cancers, and where are the studies that support this? I think that's a bit
There's
more of a scientific
Yeah,
question, isn't it?
yes. I mean, I've not seen any studies that
Okay.
supports that, and I have POP ceilings in my home. I don't believe POP causes cancer. But then we have some people who are superstitious and they believe so. So and because of that, they wouldn't get it because that is their own thought processes. So
Yeah.
that influences their home buying choices. But I don't believe in that. I mean, I use POP, and I don't think it causes anything.
Sorry to come in. Nana, are there a lot of diasporans who are buying the properties, or is it just solely Ghanaians that are based in Ghana?
As a matter of fact, majority of my customers or clients from State Housing live outside Ghana. We do have a lot of Ghanaians buying, but a lot more in the majority are from outside because is everybody who lives outside Ghana wants to own a home in Ghana, and we don't want to fall into the situation where you'll be sending money to your nephew or uncle, and then you come back to Ghana and you don't even have a foundation done. At least if you are working with the state, at least you know that if we say we're giving you a 4-bedroom, the 4-bedroom is there. So it makes a lot of people in the diaspora trust state housing company with their housing needs rather than to go the traditional way of family members and friends building.
So, are the properties that you have, are they already built? Are they in the process? How many rooms you have currently? What's available, and what are the prices?
Yeah. So we have homes that are available, moving ready in the Greater Accra, the Ashanti region, Western North, and other areas. Some of our properties are in the construction phase. So we have homes in all the various line of production in terms of from foundation to completion, and so it depends on the individual who is buying it. In the Greater Accra region, we have homes available currently in Adenta and also in Abrahia. Abrahia is about 15 minutes drive from Adenta for those who don't know. And these are 2, 3, and then 4-bedroom apartments, and then single family homes. Our homes, the price ranges from about 200,000 Ghana cedis all the way up to about 1.2 million for the very high end 4-bedroom executive homes. So depending on your affordability, that is what you can go for. And I'm quoting these prices in Ghana cedis, um, uh, knowing that I'm speaking to people in the diaspora, but I also know that everybody has a different currency, so you can just go to Google and then do the conversion.
And so, if somebody's coming to buy a property and they want to put a deposit, how much is a deposit? And if they didn't want to do a mortgage but wanted to have like an agreement with state housing, is that also possible for them to pay within the next 6 months and pay in installments?
That is very, very possible. What traditionally we do is that yes, you can put down a 20% deposit, spread the rest. But what we do is that you can only move to the home, or we'll give you the key after you have paid 70% of the house price. That is, if you decide to do the purchase agreement with us, and in terms of paying it in installments. But majority of our clients which go to their banks. Their banks pay us in full, and then they get their keys, and then we basically hand them off to the banks at that point for them to make the payments to them.
Okay. Are the properties freehold or leasehold?
They are leasehold. The leases is up to 50 years.
Up to 50 years. And if I wanted to modify, so does the houses come with like a back garden or front garden? Is it expandable or non-expandable?
It's all the above, depending on what you need. But after we finish construction, however, though, so that there is no blight on the neighborhood, if you're going to be doing expansions or extensions, we are very strict on that. You'll have to apply back to State Housing. We'll take a look at your drawings, and if it's not going to affect your neighbors or the beauty of the estates, before we will give you the go ahead to be able to do what you want to do there. So we just, we control developments within our current estates so that there's not going to be, your next door neighbor is going to open an appetizer bar next door and they'll be disturbing you all night. We don't want that to be happening.
And is there an association for like people that live there that come together? Do they pay a monthly, apart from, is there service charge? Is there, what else is involved?
So there are two ways that it happens. In some of, especially, this is very popular within our apartment complexes, where the homeowners will come together to form a homeowners association, and then they would levy each other to be able to do ground maintenance and other things. But we also offer property maintenance to homeowners. I mean, people buy from us in terms of that, and that's in some of our estates. They pay a monthly charge where we use it to maintain the common areas for them. Stairwell, cut the grass, make sure their surroundings are kept tidy, etc. If the paints go bad, we are painting at that time. So we give the homeowners that flexibility that if they all 100% want to do it on their own, we hand it over to them. But if there's any disagreements in terms of the homeowners, if even 10% are saying that we rather the state does it, and 90% says we'll do it on our own, we will do it for them. Because if you are handing it over to the homeowners, we want it to be unanimous. Everybody agreeing that this is the right way to go.
Okay. And do you have to live in the property full time? And can you also rent out the property? Do you guys also do management service for the properties?
So in terms of management services that we are going to be looking for renters, etc. for you, no, we don't do that. And yes, we expect you to be living in the home, but we cannot force you to live there 100% of the time. People have different circumstances of change. But in us selling the home, our expectation is that it's going to be your home. But if circumstances change and they have to rent it, or in some cases even have to sell it off to a different individual, that is entirely, it's not something that we can't stop yet.
Okay. Would you be building houses in Upper East region in Ghana?
Yes, we actually have a housing estate in the Upper East region in Bolgatanga. We call it the Rock Estate. The person asking that question, if you are familiar with the Pualugu area, that is where we are currently building.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Jennifer, I don't know whether you have any other questions for Nana before we move on to First National Bank.
No, I think it's okay. I think it's good. I think you've given us a good overview, and thank you, Nana. We will move over to First National Bank, but we will come back at the end for further audience questions. Just to wrap up, thank you ever so much. I think you've really given us a good insight at the moment.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, so Kojo, are you ready? Are you here?
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Good evening. So just to give an overview, we have Mr. Kojo Addo Kufuor, who is currently the executive head for home loans business at First National Bank, Ghana. So in 2006, Kojo co-founded Ghana Home Loans, which grew to become the leading provider of mortgages in Ghana. In Ghana, he served as the executive director till a decade later, when Ghana Home Loans obtained a license to become a universal bank known as GHL Bank. Before the founding of GHL Bank, Kojo was executive director of SDC Brokerage Service, where he was instrumental in the creation of CM Fund and worked on several transactions, including the listing of Goyo, Ghana's foremost state-owned oil marketing company. Earlier in his career, Kojo worked in corporate finance with Citigroup in London and Lagos, where he focused on financial institutions. He also worked for KPMG Barron's Management Consultants in the Far East and Australia. Kojo holds a BSc degree in Agric Engineering from Tech, an MSc in Computer Science from the University of London, and an MBA from Columbia Business School of New York. And Kojo is an avid radio listener and keenly follows current affairs. So good evening, Kojo, and welcome. And thank you so much for honoring our invitation and being part of today's much needed discussion, talk, informative session, and question and answer session. We've got lots of questions when it comes to mortgages and the Ghana property industry. So if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself and your remit, please, that would be great. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Jennifer, for the introduction. Good evening, Denta. I think I heard your voice earlier. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning to your audience around the world. So essentially, well, in terms of background, I think you said it all. In terms of what we offer here at First National Bank, it really comes down to decisions that those in the diaspora, given that they are the focus of this conversation, are looking to take, whether to build or buy their dream home. When you think of property acquisition back in Ghana, the conversation always comes down to one of the two: do you build or do you buy? I mean, I don't think there's a right answer. If you're looking to build, the questions are obvious. I mean, do you have the money? Do you have the time? Do you have the skills? And if you're looking to buy, the questions are the same. Do you have the money? Do you have the time? Do you have the skills to get the job done? I mean, either way, First National Bank has a suite of products to help you achieve this goal, whether you're looking to build, whether you're looking to buy. Whether you're looking to build in particular, the other question that needs to be answered is, do you really need that size of house? And normally you see people building houses which look very nice, but I think you touched on it earlier. In terms of maintenance, as time goes by, it becomes a nightmare. So there are all kinds of issues that need to be addressed. But what I'm always keen to stress that whether or not you have the funding, you really want us at First National to be your partner in the transaction. So even if you got the funding to pay for the house outright, just to get another pair of eyes checking over the documents and making sure that you're going about it in the right way, I seriously recommend that you take a loan, no matter how small, just so that we run alongside you in the due diligence process, which is where normally things get a bit tricky. So I think those are my opening remarks. For everybody to think of us as the financial partner in home acquisition, because that's what we do. That's our skill set.
Excellent. Thank you. So I think really today, in terms of your remit, is also looking at the mortgages in Ghana. It's quite a hot topic when you think about it. My background is that I was living in UK before moving and deciding to come to Ghana. And we are used to having mortgages. People hardly buy out the house outright unless they're loaded and they've got lots of money saved. But we're used to a credit system where you pay it off monthly, and that's how it works. In Ghana, obviously at times it's quite different. People buy outright their properties if they can afford, but mortgages are also widely available. So if you could just explain and share what you have about mortgages and how they work in Ghana and for FNB as well.
So I think you said it in the intro. Since 2006, when Ghana Home Loans came on the scene, and to be fair, before that there was HFC, mortgages have been available in Ghana. You can question the methodology, you can question the interest rate, the pricing, but as a product, it's always been on the menu since at least 2006 when GHL was launched. So for those who wish to avail themselves of that product, it's available. But it is the case that, unlike the UK, in Ghana, when people think of home ownership, what the default position is to acquire land, get an architect or draftsman to do some drawings, and just jump right into it and start building the dream home, as opposed to buying the property. And even when they are looking to buy, again, the default position is to pay in cash installments over a period. So there's that clear difference between how people approach home acquisition in Ghana versus how you go about it in the UK. But once you think of it in terms of looking for a loan to buy, then really there are a lot of similarities. I mean, you find the property just as you would in the UK. You get your mortgage application in, and when it's approved, we pay for the property on your behalf, and you move into the property and you make the payments over the pre-agreed period. So really, don't forget, it's taken the UK over 100 years to get to where they are, and we will get there one day.
Yes.
So we are behind on that curve, but I did my time in the UK too, and I remember a time when mortgages were almost like a swear word. Nobody wanted to talk about it, definitely in the Ghanaian community. I remember the advice everybody would give you is, if you want to live and die in the UK, take a mortgage because you never finish paying. I think that notion has moved on a lot since that time. But for a very long time, home ownership, the ideal was, get yourself a council flat and pay rent till the end of days. I mean, but now people have realized that the wealth creation that comes through home ownership, and it's even better if you get somebody else to pay for the house. So that realization has settled in the UK. All you have to do is go on the continent. Again, there are countries on the continent where people don't think of mortgages the same way as the UK do. And I think Ghana is also on that path. So let's have this conversation in 50 years' time and see where we are. But I mean, the good news is, since 2006, GHL, Ghana Home Loans, all of that, other institutions have also come into the market. So it clearly shows that the product is taking roots. It's not an easy product to sell or to apply for. I have to be honest about that, but that's how it is. I mean, the world over, home acquisition is a big deal. I mean, in terms of the process, the loan size, it's a big transaction. So you've got to understand if a lot of questions are being asked and documents are being demanded and the process drags on. It's not because somebody takes delight in doing that. It's because we're making sure we've ticked all the boxes before we write a check on your behalf. So basically, as I said, we do all of this with one sole objective: to ensure that you get that house, and when you move in, there's no kind of matters arising, somebody knocking on your door and challenging your right to live in that house. And that process takes time. But I'm pleased to say that we've done hundreds and thousands of these transactions and created a lot of happy homeowners. Some have come back for second, third, fourth rounds, and that validates, I guess, the usefulness of what we do. There's usually a lot of commentary in the public media. Unfortunately, most of it comes from people who probably haven't even walked into the building, but they still have a view. But we kind of put those to one side. But those who've come, applied to us, gone through the process, I can assure you that we've created a lot of happy homeowners. And some of them too, pretty young in their career, which is something I quite envy. If you by 30, 35, you've bought your first property, you're really on your way, because you have a lot of mileage ahead of you in terms of career, and you still have a lot of earning potential. And it means you can probably earn 3-4 properties by the time you're done. So that's and that's the culture we are working very hard to establish.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you ever so much. I know that you do have a presentation that you've prepared for today's session. If you'd like to go through it, that would be great. Just to give our audience a bit more of an in-depth into FMB and the home loans that you do offer and how to go about the processes.
Yes, I'll certainly do that. I'll be very brief about it because usually I tend to enjoy the questions even more than the presentation. So we get to understand what the audience really want to clarify. Right. So that's the content. Well, that's the beautiful office here in airport. But if you can please, I don't know should I control the screen or you've got the control? Then please, if you can move.
I got it.
Okay. So if you can move one page further on. Thank you. So that's the introduction. Pretty much talks about who we are, what we do, the fact that we've been in the business for, I think this is year 16, and anybody who's dealt with us hopefully should attest to the fact that we are by far and away the most experienced team when it comes to the delivery of this product. Next slide, please. So first, the product. What's a mortgage? Essentially, it's a loan secured by property in the simplest sense. Questions that normally come up. Somebody will come and say, well, I want to buy a house, but I don't have a collateral to take the loan to buy the house. The good news is you don't need the collateral to take the loan because the house you're about to acquire itself becomes the collateral. So you start off with nothing. You take a loan and you get a house, and the house then becomes the collateral. And that's how it's possible for us to give a loan of $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to someone who comes without collateral, because they acquire property, which then itself becomes the collateral used to secure the loan. Normally, you're given a tenor. We can go all the way up to 20 years. Again, another misconception is that these loans don't exist in Ghana and everybody has to pay the loan within 5 years. Simply not the case. We give you up to 20 years to take the loan. We could actually go beyond. It's just that at some point it doesn't really make much financial sense. So 20 years is a decent period for you to pay off the loan. Every installment you pay is comprised of interest and principal. The way the product is designed, the early years you pay more interest than principal, then it kind of flips around, then you pay more principal than interest. In terms of the products, as I said earlier, we've got the full suite. We've got the product, the purchase or the home loan that allows you to buy property. We've got the switch or refinance. If you already have a loan with somebody you want to switch over to us, we can do that. We have the equity release. If you already own property, this is my favorite product, by the way. You already own property, you want to release equity to start a business, pay school fees, buy a car, do something special. We value the house and we can give you up to 60% of the value of the property. And depending on the value of the house, that can be a substantial number indeed. And it allows you to do all kinds of things, bearing in mind the repayment period is anything up to 20 years. So that is as close to equity as debt gets, if for those who understand these things. So that's why it's called equity release. You're taking out debt, but it feels like equity because we are giving you a very long time to pay it back. There's buy to let. As the name suggests, that's investment property. So you buy property and then you let it out to prospective tenants. So you get rental income to help service the loan. There's home construction. For those who insist on building their home, we can give you a loan to do that. Normally we disperse in stages and you kind of build in stages. Again, this obviously helps you address the issue of your uncle or nephew running away with the money, because the disbursements are staggered and they are staged to correspond to stages of construction. There's land purchase. So if you want to build a house and you don't even have the land, we can get you a loan to buy the land, and then we give you money to build. So as you can imagine, we've got the full suite, and then we have the Save to Own loan. Save to Own is a mortgage which starts off with a savings scheme, and that's for those who come to us with a credit record which is a bit of a mixed picture. You know, some have credit challenges which make it difficult for them to qualify. Others too come to us with income sources which are very hard to verify. And the way we get around that is to kind of give you a savings period. We set you a target effectively. We say to you, maybe for the next 12 months, make a certain amount of deposit into a designated account, and we observe to see if you can do it. So it's, the amount is set to coincide with the repayments you would make once the loan is dispersed. So it's effectively, we are testing to see if you've got the liquidity, the discipline, and the means to service a loan of a certain magnitude. And if you pass the test, we disperse. In terms of key product features, again, another misconception that's out there, we only do dollar loans. That's just not the case. We do CDs, we do dollars. We even have a sterling line, pound sterling line, but most of the clients tend to take US dollars. But if you want CDs, we can do a CD loan as well. Repayment period, I've spoken about, 20 years. You don't have to stick around for 20 years. That's another misconception. You can prepay. You can prepay year 5, year 7, year 10, year 3. Whenever you wish to prepay, you can pay off the loan. The penalty is 25 basis points, 0.25 of a percentage. And the good news the good news when it comes to that is you are paying off just the principal. You do not pay the unearned interest. In other words, you won't pay the interest for the period that you didn't use the loan. So whenever you come to us to pay off, we look at how much principal you owe, and that's the amount you pay off. So you don't have to stick around 20 years. In terms of deposit requirements, again, we have a 0 down payment loan where you don't make any down payment at all. But for those who want to make down payments, anything in the order from 10, 20, 30, 40%, you can contribute towards the purchase and we pay the rest. Base rate, so the base rate is 12.5%, and then plus a credit margin. So normally for most people, they end up around 13%. Last year we launched Year of Home Ownership. That was YOHO 2021. And there was a discount that was introduced as a result of that. So the 12.5 that you see here, plus the margin, then gets a discount applied to it of anything up to 1.5%. So for most people, they end up between 11.5 and 12.5 percentage points. I know the questions that will come in response to this interest rate, but I'll address them when they are asked. So those are the key product features. Next slide, please. The application process, it's really simple as you would expect the process to be given the amounts involved. So what do we need to get from you? We ask you for proof of address, anything that validates where you live, proof of income, pay slips if you are salaried, financial statements if you are self-employed. Another misconception that we don't offer loans to self-employed people. That's just not true. We do self-employed people. So pay slips if you are salaried, financial statements if you are self-employed. We need to see your bank statements, which show your pay slip amounts, obviously coming through every month. And if you run your own business, that's the basis upon which we kind of assess your liquidity. We ask for a credit report. If you're in the diaspora, you run the report and send it to us, and we have our own way of analyzing the statements. And then proof of ID, of course, proof of ID to confirm you are who you say you are. And then that kind of deals with your credit application. That goes through for us to assess how much you qualify for. If as a result of the information you've given us, there are supplementary questions, we will ask and try to get some more clarity. The other part of the transaction, and this is where people normally get a bit upset, is the due diligence on the property. Now, we try very hard under the circumstances to ensure that you are buying property or buying land which has good title from someone who has the title and can transfer the title to you. So we check. and recheck to make sure that we have clear line of sight to you getting title transferred into your name. Anybody who's done this in Ghana will know that it takes a long time to get these search results out of Lands Commission and the agencies that provide the search results. So, but we do all of that to make sure that by the time we get to the stage where we write a check on your behalf, we know who actually owns the property, and we know there are no kind of questions or issues around the land which will come back and become a headache later on down the line. So we've spoken about the supporting documentation. Next slide, please. Well, as I said, for self-employed, it's pretty much the same. The only point of departure is the income bit. Obviously, if you're self-employed, you don't have pay slips. We look beyond, even if you have pay slips, we look beyond the pay slips to your actual business and try to assess how much income it generates and what you really qualify for. And I mean, I need to say that mostly people are surprised how much they do qualify for, given how kind of we treat the information provided. And they find out they actually qualify for more than they think they do. So if you're in doubt, please approach us and let's get that credit analysis done so that you know how much you actually qualify for, instead of listening to your friend who probably hasn't even been through the process. Transaction cost. So the transaction cost is very simple. There are two parts to it. There's application fee between 1.25 and 2.5 percentage points. That takes care of all the work I've spoken about, the checks, the valuation, the credit analysis, all of that. And then there's another one, which really is not a fee, it's a deposit towards registration of title. When you buy the property, it typically is in the name of the developer, like State Housing, or the vendor, whoever it is that is selling the property to you. And once you've acquired it, or once we've paid for it on your behalf, we transfer title from the name of the vendor into your name. Again, that's another misconception. People seem to think that we transfer title into our name. We don't. We transfer title into your name. You are the owner. It has to be in your name. And then we register our interest on the back of that. So it's in the name of Yawa Samoa or Kwakumenu, and then we register our interest to say that First National has a mortgage on this one. So we need to make sure that process can be successfully completed. We need to make sure that we can get title into your name. And that's what the whole process of due diligence prior to disbursement is about. The fee or the deposit you pay when you apply is to do the work, the actual transfer of the title, which takes place after disbursement. After you've moved into the house and all of that is done, we go through that process of transferring title into your name. So that's another misconception. The notion that you can't move into the house until you finished paying for it. Again, that's just not true. You move into the house day one, and we go ahead and transfer title through Lands Commission and all the other agencies where records are kept. So if anybody does a search, they will see your name there as the rightful owner. They will see in small print First National Bank, just to make sure that they understand we've financed it. But otherwise, it's yours for all other intents and purposes. Next slide, please. Well, we can do the case studies, but I think with your permission, I'll probably stop here and then we take some questions just to get a sense of what our listeners and audience really want to hear about.
Hi, thank you ever so much for that, Kojo. I think that's quite an in-depth insight, and I know you wanted to skim through with some of the information. We do have a few questions that are popping up, and I think these are quite key. Some centered around interest rate, and we've got a lady wanting to know about a good interest rate for a mortgage. So if you could expand a bit more on that.
So a good interest rate. So good is all relative. I mean, in Ghana, you're looking at somewhere in the region of 12% plus minus. And that's usually an issue for offshore applicants where, if you live in the US or the UK, obviously the rates there are different, but obviously it's an unfair comparison to make. So the rate you're looking at here is somewhere in the region of 12%. I think I touched on it earlier. The closing fee that comes with that is the application fee. So it's not, we think of it more as an application fee than a closing fee. You pay up front for the work to be done. But once that's done, there isn't a closing fee at the end. And most people, well, we advise that you use a lawyer in the process, but most people go through the process without using lawyers. So there's no legal fees or anything that comes out of it.
Okay. So yes, thank you very much. We've got Augustine. I believe that the first question has been answered, which is what is a mortgage rate in Ghana? I think you've answered that. Second question, do you give home loans or do you give loans to Ghanaians in the diaspora to finance commercial housing projects?
So I'm not quite sure what a commercial housing project means.
I believe maybe something like a guest house or, something of that sort, or a property where they want to do business out of.
Okay, that's fine. So that's a commercial project. So there's a team here at First National that would do that for you. But when we come to home loans in particular, it has to be residential. That's the key distinction. I mean, everything I've spoken about relates to residential, as in property you build or acquire to live in, not commercial, as in hotels or hostels or shopping malls or that kind of stuff. So everything we're speaking about here relates to residential accommodation. The commercial property, hostels, hotels, etc., will be dealt with by the commercial banking team, which is separate from the team I run here.
Okay, thank you. We've got a quick question. Is the interest rate based on your credit score, or does it have no sort of correlation? How does that work?
No, there is a correlation. That's a good question. So there's a base rate and a credit-related markup. So the base rate is where everybody starts from, and depending on your credit profile, you get a bit of a risk premium added to it. But as I said, when you add all of that and apply the YOHO discount, you'll be somewhere around 12.5%.
Okay, thank you. We've got a gentleman who mentioned something about the fees that you pay prior to even getting a home loan. Is there anything that you could say in regards to that, please?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it often comes up. I mean, it's no kind of different from the fee you pay for every other service. I mean, when you apply for a visa, you normally pay the fees before they do the work and decide to give it to you or bounce the application. I'm sure most people are familiar with that one. Normally, you pay a fee for someone to do a service for you, as opposed to getting the person to do the service and then deciding whether you pay the fee or not. I think it's only fair that you pay the fee before the service is done. And I've explained what the fee is for. It covers a lot of services, especially for someone who lives in the diaspora. You're buying a house, you don't know who the owner is, you haven't done searches, you haven't done valuation, you don't have legal opinion on the title. It's a small price to pay. I mean, anybody who's tried doing this and has taken a local lawyer to go through the process, trust me, you pay a bit more than what we charge. We're only able to charge that because of the scale we bring to the negotiations with service providers, but it costs a lot more to get searches done, to get legal opinions done, to tick all those boxes that give you that assurance that you're buying the right property. Right. I mean, the alternative is to do it blind, buy the house, and then kind of hope for the best, that nobody comes and challenges your ownership. But it's good value, I think.
Yeah, I think that's also quite important. A few questions which are quite similar in regards to: do you have presence in the diaspora, or is it mainly in Ghana? And also, how can people in a diaspora go through the process as well?
No, thanks. That's a fair question. I mean, I kind of skimmed around that one. So we serve the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. I mean, regardless of where you are, Australia, US, UK, it doesn't matter where you are. Thanks to the internet, we serve you wherever you are. If you reach out to us, we'll get the documents. We can work through your power of attorney if you appoint one in Ghana to sign on your behalf, or we send the documents to you wherever you are, so you sign them and bring them back to us. We've done transactions. I mean, the example I love giving is we did a transaction with someone in Australia from start to finish, to when the person paid off the loan. We never met the person. I mean, everything was done online. So I mean, that's where we are. It's 2022. You don't have to be here. The important thing is the property is here. So we know where the property is. That's the collateral. We've checked it out. We are happy that you can own it peacefully and not have any issues afterwards. And I think that's what makes it an attractive proposition. But you don't have to come down. You can come down if you wish. That's good practice to come see it for yourself. But if you have somebody here who can check out the property on your behalf, can sign the documents on your behalf, you can appoint them as your power of attorney, and we will deal with them and make sure that the transaction gets done whilst you are offshore. But we serve everybody wherever you are.
Okay, thank you. Just a key question that a member actually asked me in the past, and she was trying to get a mortgage through FNB, but she came across an issue, and just to confirm whether or not you have to be a Ghanaian in order to get and apply for the mortgage with FNB.
No, thanks for raising that as well. I mean, you don't have to be a Ghanaian. You have to either, well, first off, you can either be a Ghanaian or someone with a Ghanaian ancestry or root to Ghana, or you can be a non-Ghanaian, non-resident, right? So as long as you can establish the purpose for which the property is being acquired, we have a product for you. So we've done non-Ghanaian non-residents, we've done non-Ghanaian residents, and we've done Ghanaian non-residents. So we cover the spectrum. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Normally, you find in all these transactions, I mean, no two transactions are the same. There's always a bit of the story which doesn't come out, either to do with the property, the vendor of the property, something in the credit past of the person. There's always a story there. I mean, that's what makes the job interesting. No two transactions are the same. Every transaction has its own story and kind of unfolds as you go along. But nationality isn't one of them. I mean, normally, if once we establish that you have a Ghanaian ancestry, we can favorably look at the application, subject to everything else being in place.
Okay, excellent. And just the final question before we go back to the panel for everyone to ask questions.
Yeah.
A question from Big D, Caleb, sorry. Do you have a list of homes already title searched and ready to go? How does it work?
It doesn't quite work like that. I mean, it's a very valid point. It would be nice to have that. In other words, that would really cut short the process. If you have pre-approved properties, title has been checked out and ready for potential buyers. Normally, the search is done at the point of purchase, because you can imagine if we gave that warranty that we checked the property in January and at the time title was good, and somebody's buying the house in May, between January and May, anything could have happened, right? So we normally check it when you want to buy it and go from there. Yeah.
Just realized I've been muted. My mic is mute. So thank you very much, Kojo. We've also got Kwabena back. So Kwabena, well done, and thank you for joining us what we're going to do now is we're going to open up to general questions. And I'm going to ask both of you a question, and if you could sort of give your response to that. So in terms of my remit as a project lead for the Diaspora Transition Network, I primarily engage with Ghanaian diasporans as well as non-Ghanaian diasporans. And I believe, Kojo, you touched on it briefly, that the property industry in Ghana is different. I don't want to say back or behind, but I would say is different to locations that some of our diaspora members have traveled from or previously lived in. And I would like you, if you could just give an overview of how you feel the property market in Ghana has changed over, let's say, last, 20, 25, 30, 40 years, and where you feel the property market will be in the next 20, 30 years.
Well, that's that's a loaded exam question. So
Not testing you.
so the property market in Ghana. I mean, so if you came to Ghana in, say, the 90s, most people were still in the acquire land and build property state of mind. There weren't as many developers operating as there are now. And even those who were operating, because the mortgage product wasn't available, they normally had the diaspora in mind when they looked at construction. So the pricing, the design, everything was for the external market. And we saw that when we were trying to launch Ghana Home Loans. I mean, the operatives at the time, everybody was thinking about the offshore market. They didn't believe there was a local market. And obviously, even if there was a local market, there was no financing options for them to engage them with. But I can say over the past 15, 20 years, there has been an explosion in terms of the real estate construction. The volume, the quality, the extent, the diversity has been nothing short of astronomical. I mean, everywhere you look, not just in Accra, but predominantly in Accra, but now in Kumasi, Takoradi, all the areas we cover, real estate construction has just taken off. The individuals building their homes are still doing that, but in addition, so many developers have stepped in that space, building different types of properties, different price points, and now there's a lot more focus on the local market. I mean, the whole concept of affordable housing is now very topical, and there's a lot more focus on the local market, and you can see that in the price points and in the design, and also the kind of locations that they go for. So it's been almost amazing to watch. I mean, because we've kind of seen it unfold right before our eyes. We've seen, if you take I guess what you call Zone 1 in Accra, you take Airport, Cantonments, Laboni, Ridge, apartment buildings, townhouses on a scale that nobody thought was possible. And then as you go further out, individuals, either on a full-time basis or part-time basis, acquiring land and just rolling out units. So supply is not where it should be, but it's a lot better than it was just a couple of decades ago. Yeah. Where do we go from here? That's a tricky one. I think we've done the easy part, which is building the Zone 1 expat high-end area. We've done the large estates a bit further out. I think now we're at a point where a bit of tough decisions and clever thinking has to go in. I mean, the population growth is kind of exponential. We've seen that too. And the question is, how do we, what kind of house type is best suited for where the population is taking us? Do we do vertical apartment blocks, or do we still build horizontal? And I think that's a discussion which could take us all day to get to the bottom of. But I mean, looking at 10, 20 years, I think definitely the need to build vertical will become more and more compelling. There are good reasons why people are pushing against that. I mean, we know the maintenance culture, fire and safety hazards, all of that. Those issues make people more comfortable living in a small semi-detached house than living on the fourth floor of an apartment block which doesn't have a fire escape or a lift or anything. So there are all kinds of developments and innovations that need to come into the next wave. But what excites me is the interest shown in the sector by governments or successive governments. And that's what leads me to believe that if we come back in 20 years, we would be able to do the vertical construction in a way that makes sense. But that's the next big one. How do you build vertical so that people don't have to live too far away from work or school or the amenities that they seek to use?
Right,
Thanks.
yes. I mean, over and over again, we have various conversations with individuals, and we understand that Accra is quite populated, and whether or not there's much land left available in Accra. Hence the reason some of these property developers are building vertically. Going back, there's a question regarding joint applicants and how many, and say, for example, if you've got siblings buying together, how many people can be on an application for a home loan?
Right, so we do allow joint applicants. So by joint applicants, we mean siblings, definitely, husband and wife. What we don't do are friends or business associates. So we allow joint applicants, but we limit it to husband and wife or spouse, and then siblings. How many siblings really is a credit issue. Normally, we stop at 2, but if the case can be made for more, we will look at it. A lot of it is we leave kind of to credit the judgment of the credit committee that looks at some of these applications when they arise. But generally, we do accept joint applications, which enhances affordability. So if the individual doesn't qualify using their own income, their spouse, husband or wife, can join them on the application, and the combined income hopefully gets them across the line. Same with siblings that are looking to buy property in Ghana. They can join incomes and get the numbers to work. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Kwabena, have we got Kwabena on? Are you still there? You might have popped out for a little while. Okay, so again, there was a question regarding reps in the UK or FMB. Are there any reps at all?
We don't have reps per se, but as I said earlier, to the extent that you want to engage us, a simple email or phone call gets the job done. Because once we engage, we have a sales team here dedicated to that particular purpose. Bless you. So we have a sales team here dedicated to developing the applications and running with it. So all we need is to get your name and number, and we are good to go.
We're good to go. Okay, excellent. Hi, Kwabena. Okay, welcome back. We're just kind of wrapping up and just got a few last questions before we decide to call it a night. So, Mr. Appiah, just to give your overview of the Ghanaian housing market, and where do you see the Ghanaian housing market going in the next 20, 30 years? You're on mute. I believe you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I would say in the next 20, 30 years, that's a very long time to project. I'd say maybe in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
It is a growing market, and it is a market that, with the country growing and the economy improving, more people are going to be needing housing. Currently, we're estimating that housing deficit is about 2 million housing units. So it means that the country has to be building in excess of about 100,000 homes every year to have any chance of being able to meet the deficit. Currently, we are not even doing 30,000. So we are lagging behind the need for housing. And most of the housing deficit is also in our urban centers. So in the next 5 to 10 years, I'm expecting a housing boom. I'm expecting more players to come into the housing sector. I'm also expecting the mortgage industry in Ghana to be much better than what it has been in the past. Now, the banks are getting more aggressive in terms of doing home loans, and I expect that to also happen. But I'll say that if you want to get on the housing ladder, probably the best time to do it is now. Now there's a lot of experimental um, products that are in the market that you can take advantage of. That might not necessarily be available, say, in the next 5 to 10 years. But in the long term, I expect that our country will be able to develop a very solid housing or real estate market where you would have, the demand side and the supply side both adequately taken care of by the private sector with the government support.
Okay. Excellent. I mean, you touched on it briefly, but it's something that always comes up. Well, not always. I mean, it's a particular scenario. Two questions, really. So we have a number of people that do come to us and they question why everything, or almost everything, especially when it comes to rent and property purchase, why it's presented in dollars rather than in cedis. Just what your take is on that.
Yeah, for estate housing, we do price our homes in cedis.
Okay.
We do the dollar conversion when we are having conversation with people in the United States or in euros when we are talking to the Europeans. But all our products are priced in cedis, and I believe that that is the way to go. There's always this excuse about, well, currency depreciation, etc., making people want to price in dollars. But yes, I mean, we do buy our inputs in cedis in Ghana, so we price our homes in cedis, and I believe that is the one way of also helping to stabilize our currencies and making our economy stronger. So I'm hoping that other individuals will do so. But as a state institution, we can afford to do that. And probably I wouldn't want to speak for the private man who just thinks about his overheads and how much money he's making in his pocket.
Okay, thank you ever so much. Just before we wrap up with yourself, and we'll also get Kojo back. You are here representing, and you stand for State Housing Company, SHC. As a individual coming to Ghana, not too afraid with the housing market, but wants to get a property, why should I come to SHC?
So state housing will do the work of will do a lot of work for you in terms of, if you want peace of mind in terms of buying a home. You don't have to worry about double sales. You don't have to worry about land litigations, etc. when you are working with state housing. And if you're living outside Ghana, it can be a pain if you have to go through all that. Plus, state housing has very qualified, architects, engineers, builders. That so that the house that is being built is not being done by a mason down the road that really is not certified to do anything. So you know that everything is being built up to standard and up to code. If you are buying from state housing, and also you know that your house is going to be there if you come back home. So these are some of the advantages that you get by building or buying from state housing. Apart from the fact that our prices are always below market, these are other very, very important things that I believe that anybody who lives outside Ghana who wants to buy a home should be paying particular attention to.
Okay, excellent. And I think, again, the key term, peace of mind. Peace of mind. Sometimes we do have to pay a bit more. Sometimes we do have to give our projects to organizations rather than our family or close-knit friends, just for that peace of mind. Because as Kwabena said, when you come to Ghana, you do want to make sure that your property is there. And not to say that as a general comment, but there are situations and scenarios where unfortunately that has happened. Kojo, hi, welcome back. Just a few quick nuggets from you before we leave. Why should anybody, with all the variety of banks out there, why should we come to FNB, First National Bank, for a mortgage or a home loan?
I think it's fair to say that in the market, we are undoubtedly the leaders when it comes to the provision of the product. We are the most experienced. We understand the product better than anybody else, and that's just a fact. I think if you take it from Ghana Home Loans through GHL to FNB, we've really demonstrated very clearly that we understand the product, we understand the clients. It is not an easy market to operate in, but we've successfully done that for almost 2 decades now. So that's the knowledge bit. We understand the terrain. But I think I'll just underline something I said earlier, that if you're offshore and you're buying a house and say it's 100,000, even if you have 100,000 in the bank, I would plead that you borrow just 20,000 just to get us to do the due diligence for you, to check it every which way. I mean, every person in the diaspora has their story around land they bought and they had to buy again, or something they paid for only to realize it wasn't, they didn't buy from the right person. I mean, those stories belong to kind of our time. I mean, you don't have to make those mistakes now, these days, because institutions like FNB exist. So I would really encourage members on this platform to reach out to us and go with us through the application process to acquire the home. And once you acquire it, if you've got the funds, why not prepay? I mean, I hope you don't, but if the objective is, I mean, use us as your partners, as your financing partners, as your banking partners to get the job done. Because it really breaks my heart every time I hear stories around people who bought properties they can't register, they've bought land they can't transfer into their names. And I think those days are really behind us. I mean, there's no reason for that to happen anymore. So, I mean, that's what we're there for. So I'd encourage members to use this service and have that peace of mind, as you said, which is very critical.
And I think one thing, sorry to come in, Jen, I think one thing that I will add about FNB Bank that both myself and Jennifer can testify to is that, the banking aspect of FNB, the online aspect of FNB, I haven't experienced that with any other bank, to be honest with you. Myself and Jennifer went into the bank to open an account. It was literally done in 15 minutes and we had our card and we're off going. And that's how they work. And so I wouldn't be surprised if, the way in which they do their mortgages, that's how they do it with, and so I would, this is not me plugging them, but this is me just telling it as it is, that I've had a very good experience with them and I enjoy using their online service when it comes to online banking. So I would definitely encourage all of our members and people that are watching today to email us, and we'll put you in touch with the team at FNB, even if you want to open a bank account to start off with and just see how they work, because you'll be surprised. I mean, I've got loads of bank accounts. I've had to close some of them because there's no point. There's no point. But yeah, so it's very, very, very helpful. And I think that, we will definitely supply you with all the information that you need on FNB and state housing if you are interested in that. Again, thank you, Kofi, for joining us today and always when we call upon you to have a conversation. I think you've answered a lot of the questions, and I hope that you're okay for us to send out the PDF to some of our members who are on the Diaspora Transition Network. So thank you again. And also to Kwabena, a question has come up, state housing projects don't have a good reputation. How have they changed that perception? If you're able to answer that for us, Kwabena. Kwabena, come back. Oh. We need this question answered. You can't hide now.
He's come back to his seat.
Hello. Yes, my computer is playing games with me. So the question is: state housing does not have a good reputation. How has that changed? How has the perception changed? So, state housing. I agree. There's part of our history that was not so pleasing, and I'll give you a typical example. I mean, the last probably before 2017, between 2009 and 2017, there was we didn't build that much homes. That's part of the reputation. No, there's not proper accounting for stuff. Also in the 70s, during the military era, we had a situation where people who bought homes from state housing, then the military government took over and then gave it to anybody that they want. There's this famous, some comedians, they'll gather them, give 20 homes to them, Denta is my friend, Denta, you can have 5, etc. Those were happening in the military era and also in some parts of, but I mean, currently that is, those are, way behind us. What I can say is that so far, I mean, since the last 5 to 6 years, the hundreds of homes that state housing has been building is being built to the highest quality, just like what was happening in the 50s and the 60s. Our homeowners are also assured of getting the homes that they buy from us. Matter of fact, we work with homeowners from the time that we start the foundation to when we deliver to them. And we've delivered hundreds of homes in the last 4 years to very happy homeowners. And not just in the private people, but even in the security service. Excuse me, a week ago, I handed over homes to the Ghana Immigration Service all the way in Wa. I'll be doing another handover to the Ghana Immigration Service in Zahir also in the next weeks. So yes, there's several homes, and if you look at our designs, it's changed. It's funny that about 2 days ago, somebody posted some of our homes in Adenta, and the first comment was, "You are lying. These are homes that are owned by Despite and his family. It is not state housing." That's how people. And he's like, "Look, this is a state housing home. This is how much it costs." And that was the argument. I look, this cannot be state housing. It cannot cost this low, because the perception is that it has to be it's a bit too overpriced, or state housing can build beautiful homes, but that is simply not the case. And I invite the Diaspora Transition Network to visit our project sites in the coming weeks, so that you can bring your cameras down, see what we are doing, speak to our customers, experience the new state housing, what we are bringing to the table. Because it's an exciting time now to work at state housing. Everything is now on point. I mean, there's in the last 3 to 4. I believe that the comment, whoever asked that question, probably will be talking about years ago, historical perspective. Maybe a Champon days, or John Mills days. Those days are far beyond us. So taste houses that turn around the corner, and we are doing great things.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you, Kwabena. Thank you. Title search is my biggest concern, not being ripped off by Big D. Kofi, anything to say to that?
Yes, I mean, I think I touched on it quite a few times. Title search tends to be a major headache. It takes a very long time. Lots of questions are raised. It's a journey of discovery for most people. We've had people come to us to do equity release mortgages, right? A house they own, they've lived in forever. And for the first time, they are being told, actually, there's an issue with the title or the survey results or whatever it is coming out of the search. And more often than not, they're very grateful because we are telling them something about their property they didn't know. But we have to go through this, as I said earlier, for reasons that I explained, that we need to ensure that title is not impaired and can be transferred. So it is a very painful part of the process. I don't like it. It holds up disbursement. And if there are issues coming out of the search, if there are adverse findings, then it drags out the process and you have a very unhappy customer on your hands. But it has to be cleared up before we proceed, and it's for the customer's own good. So we don't drag it out. We rely on search results coming out of Lands Commission, telling us who owns the land. I mean, just for those who are not too familiar with the process, when we do a search, it tells us whether the person you're buying the house from owns the land. It tells us whether that area has been zoned for future development for, I don't know, a sports complex, a university. Maybe the house is even situated where government intends to build a highway, which means at some point, your house will be demolished. It will come to pass. And you want to know that before you buy it. So these are issues that we need to straighten out before we write a check on your behalf. And I think it ties in with an earlier question where someone says our processes are cumbersome. Again, there are two parts. The first one is the credit. Second one is the due diligence on the property. First one tends to be quite straightforward. Second one, when it comes to title search, can sometimes drag out, and I have to accept that. But as I said, we are not responsible for that process. We work with the Lands Commission to get that done. But Denta, thank you very much for the ringing endorsement of the digital platforms. I'll pass that on to the relevant teams. I haven't even gone on to explain in full detail. I mean, I'm conscious of time, but you got to understand who First National Bank is. First National Bank is part of First Rand Group. And when you come to the continent of Africa, this is the largest financial institution. So there's a lot of banking benefits and other opportunities. Obviously, because of the topic of this conversation, I didn't want to spend too much time going in there. But anybody who Googles First Rand Group will understand the institution we are talking about here. It's number one on the continent, all kinds of products and services, very powerful platform. And I think, as you said, totally in charge of the digital space. And it's a wonderful bank to bank with. So even if you don't want to take a loan from us, at least have an account with us, and then hopefully we can cross-sell the home loans to you. So thanks for the plug there, Detta.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Can you answer Colin's question?
Prerequisites to use the state property service.
I think that's for Kwabena.
Yes, I think the question there is how you prove your citizenship. If it's for Ghanaians only, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's for state housing.
Yeah. So that question is to answer it quickly is you need your Ghanaian passport, or if you don't have a Ghanaian passport or any ID, you can use your parents, you can basically somebody who will be able to prove that you are Ghanaian.
Okay, there's another question.
The requirement is just like if you're going to get a Ghana card and you don't have your passport or anything of that sort, you can have two Ghanaians who will be able to stand in and say, "Oh, I know this person to be from." I mean, it's not that complicated at all.
Okay, next question is up.
Okay, so it says, does the lease hold for 50 years mean you hold rights to the property for 50 years and it goes back to the state? The answer is yes and no. So what happens is that it's 50 years renewable. So after 50 years, you can renew the lease, or after 50 years, if you decide that you don't want the home again, that is when it reverts. There's that reversion back to the state.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've taken much of your time this evening. I know that which bank did you mention is the biggest for mortgages? FNB Bank is. So we'll leave it as that. So thank you so much to Kofi. Thank you, Kwabena, for joining us on today's show. Kojo, sorry. Kojo, thank you so much for joining us on tonight's show. We will be definitely following up with some emails because already people have said that they want to be put in touch with yourself. So we will do that. We'll also send out the presentation and feedback and see how best we can make sure that people are purchasing the right properties and getting the right mortgages, and making sure that we give a good name to Ghana, because we don't want any bad records or bad business transactions to be done. And we are definitely, as the Diaspora Transition, basically endorsing yourselves and First National Bank as as a good one to go with. So again, thank you so much for joining us on tonight's show, and we will speak to you soon. God bless you.
Thank you. Take care. Take care.
Jen, any last words?
Yes, thank you all once again for joining, not only our speakers, but those that were engaged and those that asked questions as well. These are really the platforms where we give you the opportunity to speak directly with the professionals, those that know about the business, those that can give you the right answers, and those that can help and guide you. As the Diaspora Transition Network, these are the things that we aim to do, to support, to help you connect, engage, and do whatever it is that you need to get done in Ghana. It's been great. Thank you. Do listen out for information about our next online Diaspora Conversations. But do email us. Let us know what you want to hear more about. Let us know what topic areas interest you. Let us know what questions, what frustrations you may have, and we will try and work with you to find out how we can actually get through those and get the information that's required. Do join the Diaspora Transition Network. We're here for you. We're here to support you. We're here to help you. Do contact us on the Diaspora Transition Network at gmail.com. My name is Jennifer Jankrofa, and I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Take care. Good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good night. Yes, they do have foreign, what's it called? Denomination. So whether it's dollar, pounds, FNB Bank do have that as well. Thank you so much for joining us again. I'll leave our email address for you. Thank you and have a good evening. Bye-bye.